I'm Nick Pomeroy with PR Equipment out here in Kearns, Texas. Today we're out in the field again. This time we're going to talk about the 5711D. The D stands for Dyna, and the 5711 is basically our mid-size, kind of our mid-range tractor that comes in 100 or 110 horsepower varieties. You can get this in a non-D version, which is kind of a standard shift. This just happens to be the Dyna, which is one of the tractors we really like around here. We've done some videos on these tractors, so if you're looking for something more about operation or things like that, look back at some of the other content we've done. I think you might find some of that kind of interesting. But today we wanted to kind of shoot kind of a walk around video talking about some of the features and some of the things that I really like. So these tractors are fantastic in our area because this is a great hay tractor. Maybe you've got, you know, a couple hundred acres, maybe not even that much, but you're just looking for something with just a few nicer features. You don't want a complicated tractor. But you don't want the bare bones, kind of more that economy-minded tractor. So this tractor is going to give you some of those features without maybe all that cost that you might be thinking you're going to incur. There are a few ways to option these, although there's not that many. So the big one is the loader, and this is the FL3723. There's also an FL3819 loader, which is the self-leveling option for this tractor. Both these loaders are going to come with soft ride. So we're going to have that, you know, the ability to kind of cushion the weight that's on your loader, just give you a little bit better ride quality, take some of the stress off some of those points as well. All these loaders are going to come with a Euro option, which if you guys haven't used a Euro before, I know there's a lot of people out there probably looking at this, oh, I only want skid steer, I only want skid steer. Well, in my experience, if you ever use a loader, you're going to change your tuning, you're going to say, I only want Euro. Primarily because it's just easier to hook up, and it locks itself when you roll it back. There's a lot of nice features to the Euro style loader hookups, and so most folks, and you can adapt it over to skid steer if that's what you prefer, but most folks, once they use the Euro, it's hard to go back to skid steer. And I know there's some guys out there that probably have quite a few implements and things already in skid steer, so that's maybe a bit of a challenge when you step up to this tractor. However, you're really going to like this, and like I say, there's always adapters and things available that there's ways to make this work if you just really want to stick with that skid steer option. Kind of moving back, this is the AGCO 4.4 liter, AGCO Power 4.4 liter 4-cylinder diesel engine. A couple things to note about this engine. AGCO's been using the AGCO Power, or what used to be known as Sisu diesel. You know, they're based in Finland. They've been using the AGCO Power engines for, I would say, almost maybe 20 years now, or getting close. I actually used to work for Massey Ferguson, and so I spent some time, I spent a lot of time working with these engines and the transmission. This tractor is actually produced in Beauvais, France. The transmission is produced in at the Gima plant, which it's just all manufactured right there in one little location. But back to the engine just for a little bit. We're going to use an SCR system, which is DEF, right? And I know there's a lot of people like, I don't want emissions. Well, unfortunately, when you get into this horsepower tractor, that's not an option. But the good thing is, this isn't a DPF and DEF tractor. You're going to see there's a lot of tractors out there in this category. They might be green or they might be orange. You're going to have a DPF and you're going to have the DEF. Definitely, obviously, this is just a little bit more simple. And Massey's been using the DEF systems now for, God, I don't know. They were the first tractors that ever used the DEF system, but it's got to be 12 years or so. So they've come a long ways, and just really don't give us a lot of trouble. And we really know these tractors well, so that it doesn't really give us much fits. Moving back from the engine, just talking a little bit about the transmission. This is the Dyna 4 transmission, built again in France, like we talked about. It's actually built in the Gima plant, just rolled right through the door and onto the production facility at Massey. But the Gima transmission, it's basically a 16x16 power shift transmission. They've been using the Dyna 4 for ever since the 5400 days. So we're talking, maybe 20 years. Very reliable transmission, well-proven transmission. I don't know that we've really had to go into one internally much at all, if ever. They're very reliable transmissions. Give you a lot of ways to shift it. We'll talk about that in the cab, but there's a lot of versatility that comes with this transmission. One of the other things that is kind of an option when it comes to these tractors is the size of the tires, and obviously you can select whether you want wheel weights or not. We outfit all of them with a full set of wheel weights. We just think that that's probably the way you'll want it, so we put weights on all of them. And it's a fairly inexpensive option, so we suggest it. These are the R34 tires. There are some other tire options, but this is a pretty common one for what we're doing around here. But kind of moving around to the back, I always like to show off a few things on the back. You know, our tractor comes standard with 3 remotes and flow control. There are a lot of tractors kind of in this category that are going to come standard with 2 and maybe no flow control, or maybe 2 and flow control, but we're going to come standard across the board with 3 remotes. And for most of 97% of what we're doing, 3 is a good number for us. So I like that comes standard. It's not a 2 plus add 1 situation. It's a come standard with. One of the other big things, we've got this cab suspension, which is one of the nicest features here. Just kind of watching, you know, how much that cab moves. That right there is a really nice feature, and typically found on maybe a more premium of a tractor, where this kind of fits into maybe like a mid-spec style tractor. But having that cab suspension and the remotes and the way that these things are set up is really nice. Talking about the PTO just for a minute, we have a 3-speed PTO is going to come standard on this. So we're going to have 540, 540 Eco, or the 1000 speed. The nice part about that is you're not sacrificing one to get the other. It's not a 2-speed. So if you need that 1000 speed, great, but having that 540 Eco is really nice in our area as well. We have a lot of spray rigs we sell, and so you don't need much horsepower to do that, so it's kind of nice to have that. Of course, we do have our telescopic ends as well. And then we've also got, you know, we've got adjustable side links on both sides, and so having that, just a little bit nicer way to you know, be able to adjust the 3-point to make it easy. And of course, speaking of adjusting, you know, when we're starting to talk about hooking up 3-point implements, we still have our fender controls on both sides. Both fenders have a switch that you can actually, you know, override, or you can control the 3-point to help you hook up those implements. So what we're doing there, like I say, I really like it. And of course, you can kind of see how much cast iron is in the back of this thing. It's just a very heavy rear end, or what we call a transaxle. It's a very heavy transaxle for a, you know, larger size tractor. So once again, it comes in 100 or 110 horsepower. It's kind of your pick. Most of what we sell falls in that 110 horsepower range. In fact, I don't know that I've sold more than maybe 2 of the hundreds, because for a little bit more money you do get the 110, and so that's primarily what we stock, although we might, you know, get 1 or 2 of the hundreds in, but the 110s seem to be a better value. And then as we climb up in the cab, just to talk about a few of the features, one is this buddy seat. Once again, it's going to come standard. I think everybody pretty much wants a buddy seat in their tractor, so there's no reason why that should be optional. But just kind of talking about the layout of the cab, it's just a very comfortable cab, got a really nice seat. All the controls are kind of at your fingertips. And new for 2022, they actually reworked the roof, made some improvements to increase the air conditioner performance and things of that nature. So we've kind of got a completely redesigned cab roof that improves some of that for us. Kind of stepping over to controls though, there are, there's 3 ways to shift this tractor, which is kind of unique. Traditionally, Massey Ferguson shuttle lever has always done more functionality than other brands. I know that you're like, well, why would it need to, right? Forward, reverse, and neutral. What else is there? Well, on our shuttle lever, we also have a declutch ability. Just by lifting up, it declutches the tractor. But we can shift gears right here on the shuttle lever. So maybe you're running a loader, you can be shifting the tractor with your left hand while you're running the loader with your right. And that's incredibly handy. But the next way, we have another way to shift it, and so that's our T-handle. And so it's kind of a simple little, you know, just a T-handle here, which you can bump shift forward or back. And you can also, if you push the button, you can shift a whole range. So once again, it's all electronic. We're just shifting it purely, you know, electronic. It's just really handy in the way we do this. The third way you can shift this is actually if you're driving this with the foot pedal or the accelerator pedal, it will shift for you based on what gear makes the most sense. And part of that's through this switch here, which is what we call speed matching. And there are 3 settings to speed matching. There's off, auto power, and auto eco. And so in auto power, it's going to be shifting the tractor to basically maximize power. And eco is more concerned with fuel economy. Or if you do not want the tractor to adjust and, you know, shift at all for you, you just turn it off and you can do all the shifts yourself. So really, really nice features. A couple other things to note, the brake to neutral feature. So with the brake to neutral feature, You turn that on, and let's say I'm hay baling and I come up and it's time to kick a bale out. I push the pedal down and I can go, and it'll take the tractor to neutral. I can wait till my bale wraps, kick my bale out, and then let up off the pedal and we're going again. So brake to neutral is a really nice feature that really make this transmission hard to beat. Now, kind of moving around, we talked about the 3-speed PTO. You've got your 540 Eco, and 1000. You shift that in the cab. And the 1000-speed shaft does come with the tractor. It's located in the toolbox, and you can swap those out as needed. But we've also got an electronic 3-point hitch control. And so there's a lot more features to this when you get into the 5711 series, where we've got the ability to set the height, the maximum height that it'll raise up to, which is nice, so you don't have to come all the way up every time you hit the up switch. We can set the speed at which it drops. We can set the draft control. There's also a suspension feature to this, so when we have it raised up and we're headed down the road, maybe we've got 4,000 or 5,000 pounds on the 3-point, it can cushion that to where it's not, it's not transferring as much of that force to the cab. So once again, between that and cab suspension, a really nice seat, everything we do, we're trying to aim for more operator comfort. And it's hard to beat for the value of this tractor. We do have electronic engagement of our PTO. We've got electronic engagement of 4-wheel drive and differential lock. You've got for our hitch, we've got our quick soil engagement, or our basically our up and down switch for our 3-point is right here, but we have an additional feature here which is called quick soil engagement. So when we use quick soil engagement, if we had the speed of the 3-point turned down or up or whatever that is, when we use quick soil engagement, it's going to drop the hitch as quickly as it can. And so maybe we're plowing or whatnot, we do our turn and we hit that quick soil engagement, it's going to put that implement back in the ground as quickly as possible for us. As always in all the Global series, we're going to have the preset engine speed. And so it's real simple. You set the engine speed with the throttle where you want it. You push and hold the A button. It will beep at you, and you know that you've now set that preset engine speed. We've also got 3 control valves. So we talked about this on the back, but moving up into the cab, you can see our 3 levers, how they're laid out. And there's also the ability to lock them into full flow. It's a very simple lock, but for some folks who are running maybe a hydraulic pump on a sprayer or something of that nature, it is important that we're able to lock it. You might see some other tractors out there, or you may own a tractor where you've got to have the more technical option of that bungee cord to hold that lever forward. That's not a thing on this tractor. We're able to do that without the need for a bungee cord. It's got a lock of its own. And so just kind of a few other things. The joystick here, it is pre-wired if we want to run a diverter valve. So we've got a switch here, and if you want to run a third function like a live third, if you buy it from us, typically the aftermarket live third valves are going to come with a whole new joystick, and we don't really like the way that joystick is. So we will actually install a second switch, a second momentary switch into the back of this factory joystick, and wire it ourselves to where you can maintain that factory joystick. I just like the look and the feel better, and you need that for the FL series loader. We will utilize the factory joystick and install that live third function without making big changes to way that it's laid out. And there is also the switch for the soft ride on the loader, and so it's a toggle switch, and you can turn on or off the suspension feature of the loader. So that's really nice, although in most cases we pretty much leave them on. A few final things to note: all of our, we have all of our switches for the field lights. On this tractor, you've got hood lights, you've got roof lights, and you've got lights out on the pillars, as well as rear work lights. And then, of course, your hazards and things of that nature. And one last thing I like to point out here is the steering wheel, which all steering wheels, tilt in this size tractor. But we're also going to have that telescopic ability, which just one more function for this tractor that it makes it just a little bit more premium. Other than that, we've got a really nice cab, lots of vents, everything is nice. But the price point, if you're out shopping, maybe you're out looking at maybe an M6 Kubota or an M Series Deere, I really think it's worth at least looking at this tractor just to see how we fit in that realm. because I think we're going to bring you a nicer tractor with better features, or at least, you know, very nice features, nice capacities, great specs, and I think we're going to do it at a little better price point than what you might be expecting. And I would love to quote you those prices, but it all depends, of course, on how you option that out, whether you do a self-leveling or a non-self-leveling, the size of the tires, the wheel weights, and things like that, and of course, how you choose to purchase this. Now, there are some 0% options available on this tractor right now, so it's worth considering. But if y'all are in the market for maybe a mid-range tractor for your, you know, hay or cattle operation, this is one that's worth looking at. We currently have a ton of these in inventory. We ordered heavy because we sell a lot of these, and so we've got quite a few of these in inventory, and I think it's worth taking a look at, and I think you'll be pretty impressed with what Massey has come up with on this tractor. So I'm Nick Pomeroy with PR Equipment in Kearns, Texas. Y'all check us out on YouTube, like us on Facebook, just give us a call or text 903-270-0877. We'd love to show you what Massey has to offer.